Hey, I love you so much for watching and subscribing. Please be sure to check out the first video so you can be all caught up on this conversation around work and balance.
That's the first point. The second point is and we've heard this before, there's a whole thing about delegation and delegating tasks. And I am the most guilty of this because I have middle-aged children. My children are ages 9 and 11, which means they're old enough to do more than I give them credit for. Not quite teenagers, not little kids. They're middle-aged. Like we as adults have middle-age, I guess, between the ages of 50 and 60, 45 and 55. I don't know. But I got middle-aged kids. What I'm realizing is that there are lots of tasks that I do and that I take on that I don't need to be taking on anymore. Like washing the dishes and doing all the laundry and all of these things. And to some degree, have I fully delegated all of that to the kids? No, because they're still working on and improving their knowledge, skills, and abilities in the context of cleaning and home upkeep. And they've been doing chores for years. But still, there's just some days that it doesn't make sense for them to do chores. There are days where my daughter leaves the house at 7 a.m. and doesn't get home until almost 9 p.m. because of her school schedule and her extracurricular schedule. So I'm not going to ask her at 9 p.m. when she may need to brush up on some homework or do some last studying for a test, not to mention get ready for bed and actually have a full night's rest. I'm not going to say, hey, kid, go in there and wash the dishes. That's not the priority, in my opinion, for that child at that moment. So times like that, I'm willing to pick up the slack and do the dishes for her. But on weekends, y'all ain't got nothing to do. Game on. So I have to constantly catch myself though, because there are plenty of days that I see the trash can is full. And instead of asking the boy who is sitting on the couch, watching television to come empty the trash, I just, by default, because I think as parents, we're so used to just doing till it's all getting done, but there's no end point. I have to stop myself and say, wait a minute. You have this kid over here who needs to learn responsibility and who needs to learn how to help and contribute to the team that is our family. So go ask him. He ain't doing nothing. Go ask him to get up, empty the trash, take the trash out, and then he can, wash his hands and go back to the business of whatever it is he's doing. So making sure to delegate to those in your house who are capable of it. And if they're not capable, work with them. Spend some time. If you're in the working world, you know what it's like to train the trainer and to teach the teacher and on-the-job training and all those kinds of things. Implement those tools at home so that you can train people up to help and be delegated to, In the home, I think we have the greatest opportunity and potential, the greatest untapped opportunity and potential for management roles and responsibilities. And we're just not bringing those skills from the office into the home. This is the time to do that. So I would say make sure you're delegating, and to the extent that you are financially able to do so, delegate household responsibilities. We have a housekeeper. She comes once every 2 weeks, which is intentional. She does not clean my kids' rooms. That's my prerogative that my kids should clean their own rooms. I have friends and family who feel differently because I want to make sure their kids' room has a deep clean on a regular basis, which I get that. But that is something that I happily write the check for every time she comes, every 2 weeks. There was a period of time, a season, when I actually needed her coming every week because life at work was crazy, was hectic. I just couldn't keep up. The kids' schedule was and the last thing you want to do when you need to be resting is washing dishes and wiping down baseboards and all those kinds of things. So I would say, to the extent that you can afford it, find yourself a housekeeper and be creative with it. If you can only afford for the housekeeper to do just the kitchen and the bathrooms and not do like the living spaces, that's fine.
Side note, most housekeepers charge by square footage, so if you're low on funds, this is a great way to negotiate down the price.
Bring them in to do the high priority, the most time-consuming tasks, and go about your business. The same is true for laundry. I have like a full mountain range of laundry in my house at any given point in time. The washer is always running. The dryer is always running. There's always a pile somewhere. And I have started to, once a month, send the laundry out, just in the interest of giving a break and reprieve, right? Just in the interest of saying, you know what? I work so hard on this stuff all the time. I need a break. I need to prioritize myself and prioritize not staying up until who knows when in order to do laundry, and just out of sight, out of mind. I put that bag on the front porch on the day they're supposed to come. They bring it back and it's washed, dried, folded. They've been washed according to my specifications in the whole 9 yards. And that is another check that I would happily pay. Perhaps it's something you can't afford, which is totally fine. Find out how you can outsource that with your friends and family, people that you trust, who you don't mind, working with, to say, hey, why don't we kind of, I have a free week this week or weekend that I can work on laundry. Hand me your laundry and I'll wash and dry and fold for you this week, and you do the same for me next week. Whatever that takes. It doesn't take a lot of money if you can't afford a formal service. But the point is to try to delegate as much as possible and take a step back from yourself to think, wait a minute, where are the areas where I should be delegating that I'm not delegating? Where are the areas that I find myself grumbling and mumbling and cussing under my breath about having to do the task, when it's a task that I could very easily say, hey, wait a minute, kid, you can do this. Or, hey, wait a minute, spouse, you can do that. Or, since you're over here, do you mind folding a load of clothes? Things like that are reasonable to ask of people. So delegation is important. So very important in so many different ways.
You, my friend, are finished with part 2. Please stay tuned for the final and third portion of this series. Also, please, I want to hear from you. Comment, share, subscribe. Take care.